before you start wrapping cars, you need to see these 7 vinyl wrap tips. And I promise you, I'm gonna break them down to you thoroughly. These tips are like the holy grail to me. You need to use these and make sure that you implement them every day when you're wrapping. And I'm even gonna break down each of them step by step, the do's, the don'ts, and how much it costs when you do make that mistake, if you make that mistake. Because not everyone's gonna make a mistake because you're watching the video, of course. Get it, I know you're probably saying, but wait, each car is different. How can these tips work on every car? These techniques are the same, used everywhere on every car. You just need to understand where they need to be used at on your specific car. But what you need to do is go ahead and subscribe to our channel so we can give you more tips like this one. Trust me, it's gonna be the best thing that you ever did today. Also, at the end of this video, I'm gonna give you the bonus tip that every vinyl wrapper needs to do. Tip number 1, you may need to take a class. Now, I understand it. A lot of people like to do it themselves and learn. Yes, I understand. Not everyone is a visual learner. But for the people that like to do hands-on and they don't want to sit there and make the same mistakes over and over, take a class. Definitely take a class, because it's not only gonna catapult you and also build your skills, but it also builds your networking skills because you're gonna be around other like-minded people. The best part about it is when you may be taking 2 hours to figure out how to fix this mistake, and it may take the instructor 5 minutes. And then guess who learns? You guessed it. Your mistakes in the beginning may be very minute, but if you keep making those mistakes, first off, you're gonna be losing clients, which also helps you lose money, doesn't benefit you. Next, those mistakes cause redos, where if you're wrapping a hood and you're charging at least $250, then you just lost $250 because you had to redo the panel and you made the same mistake again. And now they're looking at other parts of it and they want you to redo this one. And now, once you redo it, they're not coming back. And that leads me to joining our class. We can teach you hands-on and also online, getting you acclimated, comfortable with the confidence and knowledge on learning how to wrap cars. You can click the link below just to see some of our work on when we're teaching class. I would love to see you there. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. This is not a necessity. This is not something that you really need to do. But for the ones that do need to learn and they tried it on their own before they started watching this video, come on, I'm right here waiting for you. So, if you don't want to take a class, like I said, you don't have to. But you should team up with someone that is a lot more advanced than you are at wrapping. So therefore, you can pick their brain, ask them questions, see how they wrap, see what their techniques are, and execute. Number 2, prepping your surface. You always need to prep your vehicle before you start wrapping it because you don't want these contaminants under the wrap and making your clients pissed off. And how do you prep it? I'm glad you asked. It is a 3-step process on prepping the vehicle. First, you need to wash it. Obviously, use a pressure washer. It helps much better on getting off any dirt or debris that you don't see. The second step is to clay bar the vehicle. When you clay bar it, then this also removes any contaminants that may be in the paint or on the paint that you don't see. The third step is degreasing it. Degreasing is when you're using 70% isopropyl alcohol. I don't use 91, dries a little too quickly. I don't use 50% because it's a little too watered down. So 70 is right there where I need it to be. Use quality tools is my third tip. You must use quality tools so that way your wrapping installation becomes a breeze. Use dull blades, just cheap squeegees, then you're gonna get the same thing of what your tools are using. You're gonna get a cheap installation. And that's what you don't want. You wanna make sure that your installation becomes superb. In the link in the description below, I also have all the tools and equipments that you need to get yourself started. So click the link below if you wanted to see some of those too. Here's some of the few things in these tips that I recommend for your tools. Always keep a sharp blade because you got a dull blade, you're gonna get dull cuts. Keep a clean squeegee. with that buffer, needs to be clean. I would take it off every other day, get a new one, especially if you're doing a lot of work. And the third one is using the right tools in the right area. You don't want people using a credit card as a squeegee, as your tucking tools. Don't do that. That's not what it's made for. I wouldn't use this to cut the vinyl when the paper backing is off. It's not needed. That's what I'm going by right there. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't do that. Number 4, practice on areas that you haven't experienced yet. That means if you're struggling in this area or you haven't experienced how to tuck and cut right in this area right here, get a small piece and try it out. Make sure you do the right techniques and also have a clean finish. If you don't have a clean finish the first time, try it again. Try it again until you get it right. It's called muscle memory at that time. And once you get it right, then once you do the whole part of that panel, it's all the way then. Before you start wrapping, I recommend you writing down the process of you wrapping whatever specific panel that is. So if you're wrapping a hood, I would write down first prep the surface, then cut the vinyl, measure and cut the vinyl from there. Then go ahead and pull your vinyl, lay it down over there, put your magnets on the edges, and keep going from there. So that way, you already have it ingrained in your head what you're gonna do from start to finish. I can't tell you how many students or people in general that are new installers just overlook this step and don't practice work using smaller pieces. Get you a 1x1 piece or smaller, whatever you're working on, and try it out first. Do not do a full practice on somebody's car, especially if you've never wrapped before. This is not the place or time for that. But if you have wrapped before, then I suggest you go ahead and practice on smaller pieces because you may have not experienced that type of vehicle or that type of corner. Number 5 is overheating and overstretching this vinyl. Test the limits before you even start touching a car. So therefore, you know the limits that the vinyl can take. And I'll show you just what I mean. When you start testing this, you're gonna be heating it and pulling it and heating it and pulling it and heating it and pulling it. And there it goes. Clear as day. This next tip should have been number 1, but it's number 6 on the list. Squeegeeing, and understand how to overlap your squeegee strokes and not leave bubbles. First off, most people are going to squeegee straight across, while other people who are more advanced installers are going to either angle their squeegee depending on how, and they still go straight across, keep that in mind, depending on how they want the air to egress out of the vinyl. The whole key to this is make sure that there's no more air left up under the vinyl. When you start wrapping, there is air up under it, but it is up for you to squeegee so that way you can make sure you overlap your strokes. That is the next part of it though. Overlapping your strokes is key. It is like cutting grass. When you cut grass, if you don't overlap when you're cutting, you're gonna leave what we call a mohawk. In wrapping terms, if you don't overlap your strokes, you will leave a bubble. And bubbles become more bubbles and more problems. So just remember, overlap your strokes. You got this. And this one is really costly. Because the more you don't overlap your strokes, the longer it's gonna take on installing the vinyl and the more errors you're gonna make, thus leaving creases, bubbles, and peel back. This last tip is the best tip. You gotta cut. Trim carefully. First off, do not put your blade way out here. Don't put it that's far. You really need about here, at the most. Once it's out, you're cutting at the right angle. When you're trimming, you're a surgeon at this point. Don't put your blade up and down. You're gonna have problems. The blade's gonna slip and dip in deeper and deeper. What you wanna do is have it at an angle. When it's at an angle, then it cuts clean. So let me show you what I mean. That right there is a good angle. As you can tell, the reason why is because we didn't trim anything. This is wrapped already, and if we have that angle and the blade is resting right on the vinyl, that means it can cut cleanly. If it glides, it's good. If it gets stuck, pull out. PG, you guys, PG. Start over, I should say that, okay? Now mind you, not every area is gonna cut the same. Certain areas may be a lot tighter or doesn't have anything behind it where you can cut very cleanly. Sudden areas, you're gonna have to take your time and cut clean as possible, always keeping a sharp blade and your angle the same though. The angle is always gonna help you as well as it being a sharp blade. Once you understand that, your life becomes easy. Here's the bonus. Come, this one is a little secret right here. Wait, come closer. Take your time. Doesn't make sense to rush or speed like you've seen someone else do because they're a little bit more advanced. Moving faster doesn't mean moving better. Take your time, relax, understand the growth into knowing what you're doing and also getting a feel for not only the vinyl, but the car. This part right here, if you don't take your time, you're going to make every mistake there is. Scratching the vinyl, cutting incorrectly, squeezing incorrectly, leaving bubbles, creasing. The list goes on and on. And in this video right here are 5 signs that you may need to take a vinyl wrap class. Trust me, I did almost all 5 of these.